The IEXOS 100 mount can be a quirky mount, sometimes depending on temperature. You need to make adjustments to your worm so you can get a good mesh. Sometimes the mesh gets a little bit tight. Like last night, my deck, I had it overly tight and it went through a binding event. The PMC8, which is located inside here, will prevent damage. So the worst thing that happens is that you just lose some time imaging and you got to come out here with these stupid Allen keys. Now, I made my adjustment and I got my settings the way I want it, so I don't really want to adjust it right now, but there are 2 Allen keys needed to make an adjustment. Okay, there's a 3mm and a 2mm. Okay, run metric. Now, the 3mm key, you can adjust this one. Now there's another one on this side. And then this is the main gear. So you can see this is the belt drive here for the 100, and this here attaches to the stepper motor, and that's what lives back here. The trick is you loosen these just enough. These are a pain in the ass to get. Actually, I plan on modifying this Allen key and shaving it down just so I can get it in here easier. You can see how it's really hard to get it in there. But you can get it in there. But you loosen this, you loosen that. The trick is you don't need to over tighten these things. It's actually, I recommend not doing so. But you loosen this one up, and you loosen that one up, and you loosen up the brother, this one that's on the other side. And you start just slewing it around. So for instance, I already had my adjustment made. So I'm gonna make little adjustments here. Now you can see, it's pretty responsive, but you look at things like this, like I'm going to basically move the counterweight. You can see how it doesn't have any slop. When there's too much backlash, you can actually see this thing, you know, click, click, click. You can actually see it move. And right now, this is pretty reasonably tight mesh. Same thing up here. You can kind of see it. This one is a little bit of give. It's almost indistinguishable, but you can feel it. But that's okay. But yeah, you can see, actually it's easier to see on this one. See the two screws? This one, and this one. These are the only 3. Now you don't want to throw these off in alignment too much, so I wouldn't go too insane. But generally speaking, you just want to loosen them up just enough, and then just start slewing the thing around. You know, just until you don't hear any like crunchy sounds or, you know, weird sounds. You just want to hear it nice and smooth and listen to the stepper motor sing, and it's pretty decent. But you want to make it so if you start moving this, like me, I'm applying forces back and forth, and you'll feel just a little bit of thumping, like you could feel it, like the gear kind of chattering back and forth on the spur. It's really not that hard. And if you feel like the mesh is really loose, the idea is then you loosen these screws, like I said, and push the entire assembly in to the worm, like kind of like jiggle this while pushing up on that, and it'll mesh the 2 together. Then very lightly tighten these screws, but don't tighten them down. Just tighten them just enough, and then just start slewing the mount around. And when you do this, and those screws are slightly loose, if it hits a point that it could bind, it'll push it out of the way. It'll actually will push the worm where it needs to go. it'll still be a tight mesh, and if the temperature drops, it might tighten down on the mesh, and then you just loosen those screws and just start slewing it around until it goes away. It's really that easy. But like I said, if you get like an Allen key set, these are the only two that you need, a 3 and a 2 millimeter. I mean, I bought one of these little sets, and I lost the teeniest one, but I only really use these two. So that's kind of how you do your adjustments. It's you just got to play with it, and you know, once you get your meshes done right, the real trick is make the system off balance if you can. Like me, I've got a lot of counterweight here, so I'm gonna make this thing east heavy. So the weight, there's more weight on the east side of the mount than on the west side of the mount. So this basically, the scope is effectively at the whim of this counterweight, and this will keep it, you know, pushing. But the thing is that you'll get pretty reasonably good guiding even if this flips in the meridian and you're tracking on the west, you'll still get decent guiding. But like I always prefer to have, if I'm going to make my system biased to one direction or another, I'll make it east, unless my entire imaging session is all west. If it's all west, I'm going to move these counterweights up the shaft a little bit and make the scope heavier, because the scope in that, when you flip it on the meridian, will be on this side, will be on the east side. But generally speaking, make it east heavy and you'll have better results. So I'll actually probably do a tear down of this mount or one of my other mounts. So stay tuned.